Right now, only federally licensed dealers have to get background checks, and it turns out something like 40% of all gun sales in any given year are consummated somewhere else. It's a guy online. It's out of the back of a car somewhere. It's at a gun show by a private seller. And this becomes an enormous loophole through which criminals find guns without having to get a background check. So one of our big priorities, and one of Lori's as well, is to make sure that the background check system has the money it needs so that states can send their records about prohibited purchasers to that national database. They get flagged when they go to a gun store, they don't get to buy a gun. And also making sure that, eventually that system is universal, meaning no matter where you buy your gun, no matter who you buy it from, you have to get a background check, which takes about 2 minutes. We think that's reasonable for us to pay. Yeah, it's hard to get this done. But Lori leveraging the fact, if I can say that it's been 5 years since Virginia Tech, did a lot of advocacy around the anniversary, spent countless hours on the Hill along with Josh and others, and actually got a result that was better than, not only than we expected, than that President Obama wanted, and she got it with Republican help. The president in his budget this year asked for $4 million, which is a really pitiful amount and less than we've gotten in the past, to help states get records about those people shouldn't get guns into the gun background database. Congress, led by Congressman Frank Wolf from the Commonwealth of Virginia, with, I suspect, we may or may not know, the help of Eric Cantor, of all people, who in a meeting with Lori and others said, tell me what I can do to help, actually gave $12 million for that program, which is a lot, and it's $8 million more than President Obama, after a lot of pressure, said that he wanted. So I had 2 lessons in that, I think, and then I want to hear more about how you did it. The first is that you can, in fact, get Republicans to do the right thing. They care about this if they have a reason to care about this. And the second is the power of personal narrative. I mean, we have been most successful when when it's not Mayor Bloomberg, who has lots of security, not too worried about guns himself, and it's not the gun control crew going in and talking, but it's people who have actually been hurt by gun violence. So, first of all, congratulations, and second, tell us a little bit more about how that process went and what you find useful in dealing with the Mark Warners, the Webbs, the Cantors of the world.
Naively, when I got involved, I thought, okay, I'm going to, walk into Senator Warner's office or walk into local state offices, Senator Saslaw or my Congressman Jimmy Massey, and say, I'm a victim of gun violence, my daughter was shot and injured. I sat night after night after night on the phones with parents of children who have been killed. If you've seen the pain that I've seen and witnessed, the heartache, you would do something about this too, let me tell you. But, of course they, cried their crocodile tears with me and patted me on the back and said, we understand, we're sympathetic, and then nothing. But for me, I wouldn't accept that answer. And even though it's been years, it's been 5 years since the shooting, I knock on every door, I pound their email, their inboxes, and I continue to talk to them about the issue. So difficult for me is maybe not difficult, it's time consuming. You keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And I think that they're listening. I think that the climate since Jared Loeffner in Tucson has maybe opened the door a little bit more, bigger listen, bigger ears. I think they're aware that this is an issue that Americans care about. And I think, frankly, because of that and because of tenacity on the part of the Virginia Tech families and their colleagues in Virginia, we've had some wins. As Mark has described, Eric Cantor is now listening to us. We say we need help, we want money, and we want the NICS system fixed, and he's responding. And frankly, we've gotten a statement out of Jim Webb, and he's now talking about, I support background checks on commercial sales. We now have to convince him that commercial sales is online and internet and ads, not just gun shows. And we have Senator Warner's office and staff helping us with getting some clarifying language of how to get records into NICS, by the various states. Virginia has been a leader in getting the records into NICS, and that was as a result of the tragedy. But we have more work to do, and I think that I see success. I see some real strides and some real momentum. And not to be disrespectful, Jamal, but I just have to disagree on one level. I think we can talk about this and we can win on this. When you talk about it, when you drill it down to, do you want someone who has had a mental health adjudication or a felon or a terrorist, do you want them to get a gun? I haven't found anyone who says yes to that question. And I live in Eric Cantor's backyard. I live in the most Republican of districts. And everyone is with me when you narrow it down to those types of questions. We polled in Virginia in January of 2012, in Southwest Virginia, in districts that are the most conservative, the most gun-friendly, the most, Second Amendment, whatever you want to call them. Over 90% of gun-owning respondents want background checks on all gun sales. That's got to tell you something. So I just wish we would frame the conversation a little better. I wish we would drill it down to, do you want someone to be able to, walk into a flea market, buy a gun, and then carry it on the streets concealed? Why do we have training for law enforcement when we don't have training for concealed carry holders? Are they any better at judgment or response times? So I wish we would change the language that we use sometimes in the conversation, because when you do that, you do have wins. We're winning in Virginia. We've had some setbacks, but I think we've changed the conversation. I think we've changed the perspective, and I think we're not going away, and those things are contributing to successes in Virginia. We have a candidate running for Senate, Tim Kaine. He'll tell you that the NRA is a paper tiger and he's not afraid of them. He won the governorship with an F rating, and he's proud of it. So
those of you who